Hello Zany people, welcome back to my channel where we apply analysis to everything. This is the episode on the Night Runner, where we will be talking about how we can build this Skaven unit, this hero. I would say that the Night Runner is actually my favorite unit out of all of the Skaven faction, outside of maybe the Warp Guard. The Night Runner's the favorite unit that just out of all of them, and the only reason why the Warp Guard is such a I hold it in such high regard is just because he is so survivable. Against all odds, he can just survive. But Night Runner, the reason why I like this little guy is, I'll get into that just 1 second. So let's first talk about what the Night Runner is and what he is capable of. Now, actually, the previous video I said that the Black Skaven and the Rat Ogre is the only units in the Skaven army that can utilize DareDevil effectively, because they are the ones that can choose to have 9 strength and 15 agility. Well, that was a little bit of a mistake on my part. Night Runner can also use a DareDevil combo. They just can't go to 15 strength. They can go to 9 strength and 15 agility, which is the I think it's the correct way to build them. But no, just bear with me and let me say that that is actually not the main reason why Night Runner is simply the best Skaven unit in my opinion. And to understand why I hold them in such high regard, we have to really look at this ability that he starts off with. It's this single ability that sets the Night Runner apart from every single Skaven unit and make it the top of the list. Now, to start off with, every single Skaven unit has 8 movement, which means that they move 8 meters per strategy point, making them the most mobile of the entire mobile faction of the entire game. Now, what the Night Runner's passive lets him do, that he comes right out of the box with, is after a successful leap or jump down, movement range increases by 3 meters for 1 turn, not stackable. So that on paper doesn't sound very good, but in practice is insane. What he basically does is every time he jumps down from a wall or climbs some or leaps across something like a gap, his movement range goes from 8 meters to 11 meters, and so suddenly he's moving at very large distances per strategy point. And to combo this with this also, this increases movement means that his ambush range is also 11 meters. His charge range is also 11 meters at base value for that turn. And then you can further amplify that with giving him things like Bull Charge, which increases his charge range additionally by up to 6 meters, which he can learn, which means that you can boost his charge range from 11 meters to 17 meters with this move. And if the wiki page that I always link to is correct, either Mighty Charge or Swift Charge, they also give additional 4 meters of charge range if you get them on top of your regular charge range. So if you have Swift Charge or Mighty Charge and you have Bull Charge upgraded to the mastery after you jumped off a wall, the Night Runner can charge a total distance of 21 meters, which is absolutely insane. But that's just one little gimmick that makes him really strong. Obviously, having an 11 meter charge range isn't always going to be useful, because sometimes you'll have to get to the other side of an enemy because an ally is blocking. So what really makes this guy so effective is the fact that this boost of his movement range per point lets him be your fast responder. So when you're in a fight, especially in a skirmish against another human player, you don't always know where they are or where they move their army. So when your initial scout or your frontline tanks like your warp guard gets engaged in combat with the enemy, you have basically that one turn to quickly respond and follow it up with your own units to surround the enemy or block off enemy access points, or before the enemy can respond. And if they can respond, that means your guy that's initiating, or your frontliner, your scout, is the one that's going to get surrounded. So by having the Night Runner have this ability, it really helps you guarantee that you're the first one to respond, that you're the first one that has somebody there protecting your front line and getting more people out there to surround the enemy instead of you being the one that gets surrounded. And having this fast response unit that can literally zip across the map to go help your frontliner from the middle of the map lets him be this sort of sweeper midfielder, like, to use a soccer, or I guess if you're not from the US, football term. He's kind of the midfielder. He can play midfield. He can go offense or defense. By just staying in the middle of the field, he can very quickly get to the front or the back and respond to whatever threat is presenting itself. So he's your fast response unit. Now, on top of that, and I've been playing this game quite a bit. Like, when I started my Let's Play series, even though I haven't really been Let's Playing, but making guides and builds, I've still been continuing with playing this game and trying to get better at it and learning how to play Skaven better. And I realized that this guy is probably also the most flexible unit in all of the Skaven units, in that you can pretty much build him any way you want and it wouldn't really be wrong, and he'll be able to carry out pretty well. Like, I've tried building this Night Runner as a ranged unit, and I think that's a very effective way to build him, but I'll go into ranged builds and ranged doctrine in another video, actually probably either after this one or the one after that, and to sort of explain what you need to do if you want to go ranged, especially with Skaven. But I'll hold off on that, and I realize that most of my builds so far are melee, and I'll explain why in the ranged video, why I go mostly melee, unless I specifically want ranged, and then that means I'm gonna have half my team all go range and not just, have one or two units go ranged, but just almost all go full ranged. I'll explain that in that video. But even with ranged builds, Night Runner is actually quite a good ranged unit if you want to use him that way. He can do parry builds, he can do dodge builds. Obviously the dodge build is the best, I think. And he can even, as of today, I realized he can do the DareDevil build and pull that off quite well. But there is a very unique set of skills that are, I think, almost required on this character to make this character go from neat little one-trick pony into this insane mobility, fly across the map unit that is so scary, and that is the moves Swift Jump combined with Wall Runner, and maybe it's kind of situational if you want to do Quick Leap as well, but I normally just leave out Quick Leap because leaping is a little bit less frequent than jumping and climbing. So just by having Swift Jump and Wall Runner, you can kind of imagine him as this like Kung Fu ninja character that runs off the walls and just goes flying and unstoppable and just jumping around on the roof, because that's what he is. And what Swift Jump combined with Wall Runner allows him to do is he can climb for free and jump off walls for free. That means if you're getting chased or if you just want to get somewhere really fast, you can just, wall runner and then swift jump off the wall. And both actions of climbing up and jumping down took up literally 0 strategy points. It literally didn't take you any points at all to do that. But then after that, for the remainder of that turn, your movement just went to 11 meters. Like, just a free, 3-meter boost just right off the bat. And alternatively, what you can do is, if there's a building between you and the target where you want to reach, you just, climb for free and, move across the building, across the roof or whatever, and then jump off from the other side. Almost as if you're just running across flat ground, because the climbing and the jumping down from the building both didn't cost you any movement points. So you just climb and then run across the building, jump off on the other side, as if it was flat ground. That's why it makes Night Runner so epically mobile. It's very fun to play with the Night Runner in this way. And you can also do very interesting things, like when one of your allies is fighting another enemy and you want to be able to flank this enemy from the other side, but there's a building in the way. Like, that's no problem as long as there's somewhere where you can climb up onto the building. You don't have to run all the way around the building. You just climb up, run through the building, jump out the other side, and you're flanking the enemy. It's pretty incredible what this little guy can do. But basically, if this entire faction were the assassins, as they are in terms of flavor, the Night Runner is the ninja out of all of them. He is the ninja, and he can do all the little ninja tricks. And in fact, from range, throwing shurikens, to jumping off walls, to climbing up, jumping down, running really swiftly, flanking people, and just being a complete athlete. So I really like this dude, and he's extremely survivable. Look at how, it's really easy to get up his dodge percentage. Right now he's at 100%. And yeah, I only have avoid level 1, and he's pretty incredible with the dodge already. Because I went 15 agility and I gave him cloth armor. But yeah, so I'm going to give okay, I'll give you a build that I think is the most efficient so far for me for melee, and then I will give you guys a sort of a list of alternate abilities that you would consider putting on him, based off of this one build that is the core build, and you can switch different abilities in and out if you want, because there's too many different combinations to cover for Night Runner to feasibly cover, because in a lot of my other videos for all my characters, I actually do 2 or 3 builds, because there really are just 2 or 3 really, really solid builds that I see working out. But with the Night Runner, he's just so flexible. You could do anything you want with this dude, and it'll work. So I will give you one core build that I have found to do really amazing things, and then I'll have a list of other abilities and skills that you could consider swapping in to sort of specialize your version of your Night Runner. And then after this, I may make a video soon, I think maybe episode 5, after I've done my episode 4 of my Let's Play in the combat video. I may talk about ranged and how to build I may talk about ranged and how to build the Skaven units as ranged, and how I would go about making a warband that has a lot of ranged. But yeah, so with the Night Runner, I also start off with, actually, because he has really high dodge to begin with, I get sidestep right away as the first skill. It makes him very survivable right off the bat, and then giving him avoid to really make his sidestep even more reliable. From there, I actually try to get his passive to proc more often with swift jump. What this does is it lets me jump off a building for free and trigger his ability, his fleet-footed ability. Obviously, once it triggers, you get 11 movement, right? So that's 11 meters that you can move per point. But because I saved that 1 point jumping off the building, once I've jumped, like that point that I saved will let me run for 11 meters. So basically I'm extending his movement for that turn by 11 meters for free because I saved that 1 point of strategy point, 1 blue pill. Alright, I saved 1 blue pill by swift jumping down instead of jumping down normally. And that's 11 meters that I'm giving him in addition to whatever else movements he's going to do the rest of that turn. So that right off the bat, that's like super efficient. And then there's a whole bunch of ways to build him. I actually think it would be great to get his dodge even more reliable before going into anything else because he is quite squishy. Mine actually had an injury, so his toughness should have been like a little higher, but he had an injury, so his toughness went down. But he's still very squishy in that if you're not dodging, you're gonna take damage. So you want to be constantly dodging and relying on dodging. So I actually want to give him DareDevil as soon as possible. So I probably will give him DareDevil next because he can do that combo once he reaches 9 strength. Before he reaches 9 strength, however, I would actually do Wall Runner. I actually have enough money on this warband to give him Wall Runner actually. But yeah, I would give him Wall Runner so that he can do the full combo of being able to climb up a wall and then jump back down completely for free that entire turn, giving him, you know, because he might not actually want to go over a wall. Like his enemy might be behind him, but he runs towards a wall, climbs up, jump back down, and then run towards his enemy with greater distance, maybe saving him an extra point or two so that he can do sidestep or end his turn with sidestep or do something else more useful with having more strategy points. So, you know, I would probably get Wall Runner next, although I would really want to get DareDevil as soon as possible because of just how much more dodge chances you get with DareDevil up. So once you have Wall Runner and DareDevil, I would try to get Avoid level 2 just because you're trying to put all your defensive ability in dodging and relying purely on dodging once you have DareDevil, because DareDevil reduces your melee resist. You're going to want to be able to have that dodge chance up really high so that it is very reliable, because there's so many different ways and skills to go through your dodge and parry in this game that you want to have that one stat that you're relying on, like in this case the dodge stat, to be highly reliable. So getting Avoid level 2 after that, and then after that I would also get Sidestep level 2, and then finally I would get Prowl, because it is something that also gives you another dodge chance and it lets you ambush. And that leaves us with a few more skills in the passive department. That's actually where his flexibility comes in, because he's relying so heavily on dodge for defense. It actually and that he can so efficiently dodge using DareDevil and Sidestep that he doesn't really have the need to specialize in dodge further or any other defensive stuff on his passives. So he actually has 3 passive slots open that you could use for whatever. I could say maybe give him Bull Charge. You don't even need you don't really need the Mighty Charge, Swift Charge to give him that additional 4 meters. You just give him this 6 meter range increase on top of the 3 meters from here. You'll have 9 additional meters in addition to your basic 8 movement, so you'll have 17 charge range. That could be a great idea. You could also upgrade Blitz to give his ambush 19 or 17 meter range of ambush with Prowl. That's also an interesting way of doing it. But you just have a ton of flexibility in your passives. Just know that because you're trying to rely on DareDevil, you can't really rely on your melee resist. So things that are typically good, such as anticipation, are actually not so great on this character if you're going to use DareDevil. I actually enjoy the swift counter interaction with the DareDevil. So giving him swift counter lets him counter attack a lot more often, giving him more offensive points. It'll recover offensive points randomly, and it's pretty frequent. 50% of the time that he gets a counter attack, he gets to recover one more offensive points, which is very very interesting little mechanic that'll interact with DareDevil and give you even more dodge chances as well. And then I would say, because you want his dodge to be more reliable, there's the option to take intelligence points and spend it into knowledge tactics, which also further increases his dodge. I've covered this a little bit in the Black Skaven build of the DareDevil combination, as well as having things that help him bypass enemy defenses, such as weak spot, which bypasses enemy dodge and parry, as well as swarm, which because he's being used as a fast response unit to get to the enemy, to respond to an enemy once you have one of your other units engaged to it. That swarm is always going to trigger because you're always going to have another ally near the same target, because you're the one that actually goes there to respond to it, and not to go there to initiate, to be the first one on the scene, but you're there to reach your ally quickly so that he's not alone. So therefore, swarm is always going to be there to help you trigger and have a higher hit chance. So there's a lot of, and I'll include a list of different little things that you can include that'll make a huge difference and go a long way with Night Runner. But basically, this guy is a ninja. He's super mobile. You can run him all over the place, all over the map, to respond to enemy threats and help defend the rest of your team. I just really like this character. I mean, he's the one that keeps most of my team alive. He's the one that does that job for me. Whenever one of my units run into trouble, if he's not already fighting something, he's gonna be the one that's gonna go and respond. And yeah, it's wonderful. So yeah, thank you for watching my video. I will after this video, I'm gonna actually do episode 4 now, finally, and get on with my Let's Play and show you guys more combat, and I will progress that the Skaven warband that I started from the beginning, and I'm going to try to go through the entire campaign, and with each episode explain more mechanics, more things to think about when you play Skavens. And yeah, thank you for the new subscribers who joined my channel. I appreciate you guys, and I hope that you guys will comment and give me some feedback. Maybe help me come up with some names for my Skaven units for my Let's Play. And I will see you guys next time.